today's webinar, we are going to talk about your future self and some things that you can do to ensure that your future self is going to thank you. We're going to discuss what is passive investing. No landlord stress required for passive investors. I'll run through a Legend Real Estate Trust overview with you guys. We'll also talk about investing using the investments that you've already got and keeping while maximizing all of your tax shelter benefits. We'll talk about the next steps if you're interested to get involved, and there will be a period at the end for open Q&A format. So this slide here is a picture of not my future self, but my older self. So this is a picture of Marty and I from over 2 decades ago. This is actually me at my prom and when Marty was my prom date. So in this photo, I am 17 years old and Marty is 17 years old. And this is where we actually began 2 decades ago. So we were literally a couple of teenagers who fell in love and started our life together. And we had some very big dreams about growing a real estate portfolio at that time. And a couple of these pictures here are some of our past projects that we've worked on. Now, something that really stands out to me when I look at this picture and when I look back in time, more than 20 years, I see young, ambitious teenagers that have big dreams and big hopes and who understood, even at that young age, that small decisions and making some small choices were going to lead to some big results. Marty and I always talked way back when that as we were buying properties, that each property was almost like planting a seed, starting a separate bank account for each of our investment properties all those years ago. And, just last month in December, I just celebrated my 40th birthday. And I got to say, looking back on my younger self, I would say that, I'm pretty happy about the accomplishments and the decisions that we made at such a young age. Now, it doesn't always have to be sacrifice per se. It can be these small choices and these small decisions that we make that add up to really, really big results. So I just wanted to share with you guys just real briefly where we started, where we're coming from, and that we've got over 2 decades of investing experience that translates into our business activities as of today. Because as of today, we are now the owner and operators of Legend Real Estate Trust. And back then, I don't think I knew that we would be exactly in this position, but we certainly knew that we would be doing real estate, and that was always our intention. So just a note to you guys and everybody who's on the webinar here today is that if you make these small decisions and you plant these small seeds, that your future self is going to thank you. You can even think from 1 year today, 5 years, 10 years, of course, 20 years, that there's no better time to start investing in real estate. Well, actually, yesterday was always the best time to invest in real estate, but today is the second best time that you could ever invest into real estate. And I promise you, your future self will thank you. So jumping ahead into passive investing. So what is passive investing all about? Well, on the left side here of the screen, passive investing is actually none of these things. So from market selection to property selection, running pro formas, double checking numbers, going through due diligence on properties, entering into negotiations, understanding if you're in a buyer's market versus a seller's market, how to effectively put together an agreement of purchase and sale, the terms, the conditions, the clauses, etc., to fundraising and getting the money together to buy investment properties, going through the entire acquisition process. So once you've, locked down a property, and then firmed up on the deal, going through the due diligence, getting the right people in place, and actually closing on a property, which includes a full mortgage application, which sometimes feels like a full-time job for many, to property management after you close a property, and then, of course, investment management after you've closed a property as well. Passive investing is none of these things. It doesn't include any of these things. If you're a passive investor, what that means is I, or Legend Real Estate Trust, Marty and I, with our team, we will handle all of these items that I just listed on the screen here as the active partners in our investment opportunity. And if you wish to participate in Legend and come in as a passive investor, we handle all of this stuff for you. Your responsibility is to, first of all, determine, is this a suitable investment for you? Decide, are you ready to commit to your future self and making these good decisions for yourself? And after that, it's a bit of paperwork, signing up, participating in the REIT, and you're completely hands-free and hands-off from there. So a good way to describe is, this beautiful picture on the screen of this woman looking up at the clouds, completely peaceful. It sincerely is as easy as that to be a passive investor in real estate. Now, that also means that there's no landlord stress required. So many of us, when we think about investing into real estate, if we're new, we might think, oh my gosh, what will I do with dealing with tenants? What if somebody wrecks my property? What if somebody doesn't pay rent? What if I can't fill my property? What if the toilet breaks on Christmas Day? Et cetera, et cetera. All of these what ifs. What if all these unknowns? Well, I tell you, it's the bad tenant stories or the bad tenant experience that make for the really good stories that people talk about. What people don't often talk about is, hey, guess what? My tenant, I never hear from them. They always pay rent on time. They take great care of my property. It just doesn't really make for a great story. But whether or not you're going through a good landlord situation or a challenging landlord situation, to participate in Legend, you don't have any of this landlord stress required. This is, again, where we come in. We've got our team that handles all of these elements on your behalf, that you can sincerely invest into real estate without dealing with any tenants. And no landlord stress is required whatsoever. We've got that completely handled on your behalf. And I'll share with you that since we started investing into real estate, we bought our first property when I was 21 years old, is when we closed on it. And at that time, I became a property owner and a landlord. So I haven't really known any other life. I've always been a landlord. I've always had these responsibilities to deal with, but more importantly is that it's the experience that I've gained over all of these years. So I've primarily invested in Ontario, Canada, and successfully navigated the LTB here in Ontario for the duration of my career. So we've seen landlord legislation changes over all these years, different landlord-tenant relationships and experiences. We've definitely gone through a great deal of these over 20 years of investing, and our Legend investors actually get to benefit from all of those experiences because you don't have to go through that. We've already done it, and we've packaged this investment to be completely passive for you and taken care of. And that means that Legend investors have the ability to own a property, just like this one on your screen, 144 Lucan Avenue, from a passive position. Again, completely hands off. This is our flagship property, 144 Lucan Avenue in Waterloo, Ontario. It's a 60-unit apartment building. It's completely renovated, an absolutely gorgeous property. And when I say that, this property is in an incredible location. It is definitely in an up-and-coming area, but the units themselves, there's parking available, there's paid storage available. The apartments have dishwashers, balconies. There's facial recognition technology to even enter into the building. This is an absolutely gorgeous property. And in Legend, investors have the opportunity to own a piece of this apartment building within a growing portfolio of properties all across Canada. And one of the best kept secrets of wealthy Canadian investors is that you can actually use your existing investments, your existing accounts, and invest into a private REIT such as Legend. So what I mean by this is if you have an RRSP, an RESP, a LIRA, a TFSA, any Canadian registered account, you can self-direct it and invest it into Legend. Now, where this gets really exciting is that if your RSP is currently performing at less than 15 to 20% for annual returns, again, don't cash it out. You can self-direct it into a private REIT such as Legend. Now, Legend, we've got targeted returns of 15 to 20%. And this can be as simple as doing some adjustments for paperwork that you're using those existing accounts while keeping all your tax shelter benefits, but just self-directing into Legend. I'm just going to pop over and check into the chat here. So Rima, yes, we are working with an EMD. They're called Equivesto. We've partnered with them, and Legend is accessible to all Canadians across the country. So they are licensed in all of the provinces and territories. And as a Quebec investor, you can absolutely participate in this investment. So Rima, what I'm going to suggest for you is to book a one-on-one with me so that we can discuss the investment and of course the suitability if it fits in line with your investing goals, and we can talk about any nuance that comes with Quebec as well. But yes, as a Quebec resident, you can invest into Legend REIT, and we actually have a couple Legend investors who are Quebecers that are already in the fund. Okay, perfect. Oh no, I just skipped to the wrong slide. Well, I'm really having technical difficulties today. Well, not really, just user error, I suppose. Okay, so moving along beyond the tax shelter benefits and using your registered funds. So this here is Legends Edge. So just a summary of really what sets us apart and what are some of the greatest benefits to investing into Legend. The first one is to skip that mortgage hassle. So you can invest into real estate without having to acquire a large down payment. You don't need a credit check. You don't need to go through a mortgage application process. This truly is simple, straightforward investing. We handle all of these elements for you, and you don't have to go through any hassle whatsoever. Oops. And Sam is telling me I'm on my wrong slide. There we go. How's that, Sam? Is that one better? Yes. No? I think I'm on the right slide now. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for keeping me in line, team. So again, Legends Edge, there is no mortgage hassle here whatsoever. And the second greatest benefit is this is passive, hands-free investing. So our passive investors and all Legend investors get to enjoy the benefits of investing into real estate without any of those headaches of managing tenants and managing renovations, or even just acquiring properties can be a very strenuous full-time job for a lot of people. And we understand that most people are overly busy right now. So, shout out to all of you for even joining us on your busy day on this, sunny Thursday afternoon, that we get it. You've got your full-time job or your part-time job, you've got your hobbies, you've got your family, you need to take care of yourself and all of these different elements of your life. To add real estate investing into that fold is a big ask. It's a big time and energy commitment. But again, at Legend, it doesn't take any of your time. It is completely passive. As I said, you just need to make the decision if you'd like to move forward. And from there, it's just some very simple paperwork to get started into your hassle-free investing. And the third biggest highlight here for investing into Legend is that we are RSP eligible. So again, any Canadian registered account, you can self-direct and invest into Legend. Cash is always accepted, of course. You can invest cash, but the RSP component is a game changer for a lot of investors that they didn't realize that you can fully take control of your own registered funds, self-direct them, and put them into a private REIT where the targeted returns are 15 to 20% annually, which includes an 8% cash flow payment as well. So if you're interested in learning about how to invest, if you're interested to come into Legend, here's how it's done. Legend has Class A trust units or shares that are available, and they're $10 per unit. Now, I'm going to pause here on this moment because Legend is only selling our trust units for $10 for our first acquisition, which is what we're doing right now, our flagship property. There's not going to be a time where the shares are $10 per unit. So getting in at this ground level, at this foundation phase of this REIT is going to be what we believe the most beneficial time for investors to come into the fund. So we are currently selling them for $10 per unit. Our targeted annual returns are 15 to 20% annually. So what this means is mathematically, if we're able to achieve that 20% return within a 5-year period, there's an opportunity to double your money within a 5-year period. So that's mathematically how it works out if we achieve that 20% annual return. The preferred returns is an 8% cash flow payment. So we're looking to do quarterly distributions of cash flow. And if you don't wish to receive your cash flow, which some people don't for, tax purposes, or they receive enough through their typical income, then you can participate in the DRIP program. And the DRIP stands for Dividend Reinvestment Program. So instead of receiving your cash flow, you can choose to reinvest it into the fund. And the way this works is that you're actually buying additional shares for that instead of receiving your cash flow. So your investment begins to compound at this time. And we provide a 2% discount or a 2% incentive for investors who participate in the DRIP program. You can also select as a third option a 50-50. You want to receive 50% of your cash flow and you want to do 50% of the DRIP program as well. So all that to say is the cash flow elements of this investment are very flexible and can be tailored to your specific individual needs. Now, once again, for the investment vehicle, cash is of course accepted, but we are RSP eligible. So RRSP, TFSA, LIRA, any Canadian registered account is acceptable to come in to Legend. And for clarity, one more time, this is allowable for Quebec investors as well. So investor suitability, we're working with eligible investors or accredited investors. So again, that barrier to enter into this type of investment, we created this REIT and we created our offering memorandum to be available to as many Canadian investors as possible. So there is the slight nuance for the Quebec investors. We're looking for accredited for our Quebec investors, and I'm saying that for the folks here on the call who are from Quebec, but also book in with me. Let's look at your individual situation here. There is also a retail option that we can discuss to get you into Legend if you are really wanting to participate in this fund. So our disclaimer here up on the screen is an important detail. Now, like all investments, this investment comes with risk as well. And we work with Equivesto as our licensed exempt market dealer, our EMD, and they handle all of our compliance and our paperwork and our investor suitability. So we do have an offering memorandum that you will certainly want to have a look through and understand all of the risks that are associated with this type of investing. And then, of course, next steps, if you're interested to move forward. book a call with me is going to be the very next step for you guys to do. So I've put up here on the screen here a QR code. If you're on a desktop, you can just scan that QR code and schedule a call with me. If you're on your phone, then, oh, Sam, you sent that message to me directly. If you could pop that to everybody in the chat. Sam is just going to pop into the chat a link that you can click directly on to book in a call with me one-on-one. It's a no pressure 15-minute meeting. Let's talk face to face. I want to understand, what are your investing goals? What has been your investing history this far? Are you brand new to investing? That's great. We love to work with beginners and people who are just getting started with their career. Or are you a seasoned investor? If so, let's take a deep dive. Let's talk about your portfolio. Let's talk about if and how Legend can be, a piece within your portfolio as well. And if you visit our website, legendrealestatetrust.ca, this is a great central location that you can discover more about our past projects and more about myself and Marty and the whole Legend team. We've got some great testimonials on there as well to hear from other investors who have worked with us in the past and are happy to keep working with us. You can also download our investor deck. So if you haven't already, it's important that you have a look right through the investor deck, where I do take a deep dive into the overall investment here. And of course, follow us on social media. We've got quite a social media presence now. Thanks to my team. Big shout out to Christina here as well. So make sure that you follow us on social media if you aren't already. Again, it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about Legend Real Estate Trust. Thank you, Christina, for popping that in. So there's all our handles there as well. And also a big shout out to Samantha, our investor relations manager. So if you are receiving, some emails and text campaigns from us, Samantha is definitely communicating with you guys on the other end. But please book a call with me directly so that we can discuss if this is, a potential opportunity for you to reach your investing goals, so that your future self is going to thank you today for making these really, really great decisions.